What is up, everyone? Renfail here, and we're back again to talk about Rogue Trader. And as much as I love this game, there are three little things that I'm going to nitpick today. And here's the thing, I literally am only nitpicking. These are not game breaking. These are aspects that other people enjoy, but for me, I feel are kind of tedious. And they're things that I don't really care for in Rogue Trader, despite loving everything else this game has to offer. I did one of these videos for Baldur's Gate 3 as well. It was great to have a conversation with people about, despite the fact that this is a great game and I'm having tons of fun, there are still little things that I will point out and be like, not a huge fan of that. Doesn't take away from the experience for me. It's not going to make me not play the game. It's just these little things that I want to have a conversation about it, so I think it's fun. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the three things that I don't like in Rogue Trader, despite the fact that I think it's a great game and Owlcat has done a great job of providing us with a rich and deep CRPG based on the Warhammer universe. If you're a first-time viewer here, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 8 a.m. Central here and on Twitch, because we are multi-streaming in both places. But the day-to-day happens here on YouTube with game guides, movie reviews, TV shows, all sorts of gaming news, and of course, Let's Play series and all the things that we do here on the channel. So check out all the other playlists, join the Discord, links are down below. Let's get into the video at hand. So first and foremost, I should say that I love the idea behind warp travel and what they've established here in the game. Basically, when you get your ship, you can go all over the place. Like we could check out this vast map of places, the many of which I haven't even explored yet because there's question marks all over the map. And this map is huge. I haven't even uncovered but a fraction of it. If you truly want to explore all these planets and everything else, you're going to be spending a couple hundred hours playing this game, which I may well do in a second playthrough. I am not trying for a completionist version my first time. My first time, I'm learning Warhammer, I'm learning the game, I'm going through on easy mode, I'm taking my time, but I'm just doing what I want to see. I expect this will end up being maybe an 80-hour playthrough. We'll see, 60 to 80 hours I would anticipate. Could be longer, but at least 80 hours I would assume to do my first playthrough. And then I'll come back and do like a much deeper playthrough. But this one, the map is huge. There's a lot of places to go. And to get to basically all these different places, the routes, right, are color-coded. So you've got green for easy, yellow's a little more difficult and dangerous, orange is more dangerous than that, and I don't have any red on the map at the moment, but occasionally you'll be in places where there's red. Like here's one that's red. You'll see this red right here between the Ursello Prophecy and System Speculo. That's a red route, which means it's very dangerous. And the first thing I don't like about Rogue Trader is tied to the system, because even though I think this is a great system, anytime you take a red route, and I understand why they do this, because it's meant to represent how dangerous the routes are. Every time you do red, I've yet to see it not prompt a random encounter. Now, some people like to do those random encounters. Matter of fact, if we did one right now, we might even see it. Like, let's say I could chart the course. Deadly, I'm going to spend the points to get over there. I'm going to warp travel, and more than likely, I'm going to get hit with some sort of combat scenario. This is the first time I've seen this happening. It's not going to prompt a boarding scenario where I'm getting attacked by enemies. It's prompting a different attempt, this time against my ship. So it's going to push us. No, it's definitely still the same thing. Never mind. I'm mistaken. This is what I'm talking about. I thought it was a different one. Because this one, you're being forced to take care of something. So I'm going to have to go in and do an encounter, a random encounter. Now, some people really love this. I'm not a huge fan. I also disliked it after the first 5 or 6 times in like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. The random encounters were things that I'm like, I don't mind it if it happens once in a while, but it's every single time you take a red route. And that's something that I'm not a huge fan of. You know, maybe it's just a high percentile and I've been very unlucky with the rolls, but I mean, I've done probably 8 or 10 red trips now, and I've got hit with random encounters every single time. Now, the good thing is that some of these random encounters, you can just choose to throw your soldiers at it, right? And it'll just take stuff from your cargo, right? And it'll say, like, you used up this many munitions and this much armor and everything else, and your guys will go take care of it for you. I don't mind those, but when I get forced into doing combat. This is the thing here. I didn't get an option. I was forced to go into this screen to pick my party members, and we're going to have to go deal with a threat. I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't take away from the game experience so far, but PC Gamer just did an article on Baldur's Gate 3 and how Baldur's Gate 3 had over 300 combat encounters, but they were handcrafted, and so they never felt like fluff. And random encounters like this, where you're forced to do something just because it's a dangerous route, feels like filler content to me. I'm not a big fan. Now, I'm not necessarily a big voice in this. I realize I might even be a minority in this. I've had quite a few people on Baldur's Gate 3 videos complain about how it didn't have random encounters, and they really wanted to have an unlimited amount of random encounter combat to go through to like grind up to the max level. And some people really get off on that. I'm not one of those people. Like, I love combat if it's related to story, but I don't like combat just for the sake of combat, which is probably one of the reasons I don't like Souls games, because I don't like constantly banging my head against encounters. Like, I'm here for story, not for combat. So this is one thing that definitely kind of drives me up the wall, even though I still love the game. It's just like every time I have one of these forced random encounters in space, I'm just like, I love the idea of warp travel, but I wish they would have done something a little bit differently. I mean, I have ideas, but my opinions don't really matter because this is the game that they're presented with. I'm just sharing my thoughts on it, and you can take my opinion or leave it. It's up to you. Anyway, that's the first one. Let's move on to the second. All right, next up is an aspect of the colony management system. And when you notice something up here in red, it's going to tell you the Lord Captain's presence will be required. So if you haven't gotten into the colony aspect of this yet, all of the colonies can grow. When you first get to them, there's nothing up here on the top right. And then you start going around in a circle just like you do leveling up your character. And you create projects, or projects happen, and you have to resolve situations on these planets as they go. And things take time to resolve, but eventually you level up these planets and you can turn it into, I can't remember what it's called, some sort of major planet. I haven't gotten there yet, but there is a way to take one of these all the way to the top and it becomes like a capital world, maybe is what it's called. I don't remember the terminology, so please don't yell at me because I haven't gotten to that point yet. But you'll notice that this one with Janice says the Lord Captain presence will be required. I'm not a huge fan of this because it forces you, and by the way, this is also a critique that I have of Owlcat's other two games in the Pathfinder world, was there were certain times when you were forced to make time-sensitive decisions. And I understand why it's there, and it does make for the desire to do multiple playthroughs, because you're going to be like, oh, I missed that the first time, I got to make sure I do it the second time. So it helps with a sense of realism. But I also sometimes feel like the time limits are restricting, or it's like you get to the point where, going back to what I was talking about before, you might be so far away, because with the warp travel, the way it's working is every time you go to a new system, the old routes close up. And so you have to re-travel those routes again. So every single time, they're changing in difficulty. So you're constantly having to make decisions about, is it worth the risk to travel there? Because if I travel there, I'm going to have to spend points, and all these factors come into play. And when you're required to visit a place physically, you have to make a decision. It's like, is the main story more important than this objective, or do I really want the reward from this to risk spending my navigator points to get there and having to deal with random combat encounters and everything else? It's not a simple thing to just it's literally not a simple thing to go to a planet and resolve an action. So in this case, we would have to physically go to, where is it telling us? Janus. Does it even show that on the map here really quick? If I go out to let's check the Coronas map, the big expanse map, and see. Because I don't even remember where Janus is, to be honest with you. I know it's one of the planets underneath my purview, but it's like, where is it? I would have to go look at the map and make a decision about, am I close enough to go there? Janus. This might be it. This might be it with Janus. So if I were to click that, if I want to go, if I want to go there directly from where I am, I have to spend navigator points, right? 3 of them. I only have 4. That's that number right over here, right? And you only get those by going to a question mark planet and scanning. So if I were to go to this planet right here. Let's warp travel and hopefully not get caught. I'm ignoring this because I don't really care. This isn't important. So we're gonna get here. Now I can, if it's someplace like where I haven't already charted, let's go to the next one over. Okay, it's going to say chart new routes. That's the only way to get more navigator points. So they are finite. You have a finite amount of navigator points that you can earn. And so you have to make the decision of, is traveling to this place to resolve something for one of my planetary conquests, is that worth risking and spending the navigator points on? That's an aspect of the game that I'm just kind of like, I'm not a huge fan of that. Just because I much prefer, I don't mind the time limits per se, but it's the limited resource that's required to travel that makes it really difficult to make these decisions, and that adds a certain level of restriction, or it takes my agency away. And when you take agency away from the player, it can kind of make them feel and that's how I feel about this. Again, it's a nitpick, not a thing that I think is detrimental to the game. It's just a personal nitpick I have. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And finally, the third aspect of Rogue Trader that I don't like is the same issue I had with Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, which is the overall kingdom management component of the game. I'm a huge, huge CRPG fan. And I don't mind when there is like a keep that you have that you can go back to and maintain and maybe get some special quests. Like Pillars of Eternity did it pretty well, I think. It was a little less restrictive. There were definitely some time managed things that could make you feel a little crunch, but you didn't have to worry about the resources for travel, so it didn't feel as restrictive in Pillars of Eternity. And of course, like Neverwinter Nights 2 had the keep that you could get. I like it when games have some sort of a house. You know, even Baldur's Gate 2 had it if you chose to do the one girl storyline where her family's being attacked by trolls and you can go get the castle. And anyway, however, I found that in Pathfinder Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, the kingdom management aspects of the game were so tedious that I ended up, and thankfully they had that option in those games where you could just turn that portion of the game off. You could just say, literally, you could say, I opt out of these decisions. I opt out of that side of the game completely. I only want to play the CRPG. Go ahead and automate all of that. Now, you're not going to get the best rewards and the best outcomes for all of the stuff that's happening over there with the kingdom management when you do it that way, because you're just letting, you know, the AI take care of it for you. But if you're playing on like easy mode, most of those resolutions will be pretty much in your favor anyway. So if you just want to focus on the story, it's a great way to just do the story, have fun in the CRPG, and not deal with that stuff. I don't know that there's a way to turn that off in this game. Like, you are required to deal with the navigation stuff because it's part of the storyline, and deciding between the planets and the colonies. And we just saw when I was traveling to the previous section, I kind of skipped through those dialogues. Each one of those dialogues was telling me, hey, there's something happening on this planet that needs you to physically go resolve it. Go take care of it. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to play the CRPG. So what I'm willfully choosing to do on my playthrough, and I don't know if it's going to have long-term effects on my game or not, we'll see, is I'm choosing to willfully kind of ignore, like, the majority of those things and only focus on, if I'm already going to be there for a quest, if I'm going to be in that system for a quest, then I will resolve the things that need to be resolved on these planets when I'm there. But I'm not going to go out of my way to do that, because that's the kingdom management side of the game that I find to be tedious. I love CRPGs. I love the storyline for this game. I love the writing. I love the narration. I love the characters. I love everything about that part of the game. But the kind of tediousness of the kingdom management, it really takes away of the flow of the game for me personally. Now, again, the biggest thing to understand out of all of this is that these are just my personal nitpicks. I don't consider these to be flaws in the game per se. They're just little things where I'm like, I probably would have done something a little bit different here. But it doesn't mean I'm not enjoying Rogue Trader. I very much am having a great time with Rogue Trader. I think that if you like CRPGs, turn-based combat, rich, deep lore, great narration, great writing, deep mechanics, and especially if you've played their previous King Pathfinder titles and you understand that Owlcat just makes really good CRPGs, you should definitely consider this game. But I thought it's a great conversation to have to help people understand that, you know, it's great to praise a game for being really, really good, but you can also critique it and say, you know what, despite the fact that I think it's really good, here's some flaws in, you know, flaws, nitpicks. I hesitate to call them flaws, like nitpicks. It's just like, nah. It's like, you know, I don't like the color red on cars. Like, that's not a flaw in the vehicle. It's just my personal preference. I should shut up now because I'm rambling. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at 8 a.m. Central Time here and on Twitch. Check out all the other playlists. Join the Discord. Support if you can. Thanks to those who do. See everybody in the next one. Stay safe and happy gaming.